Every superhero movie has the same problem. The villain has to be stronger than the hero, so the hero gets stronger during the film by overcoming some obstacle, which also means that the next villain has to be stronger than that. It never stops until a punch means nothing and the stakes have become multiversal. The Incredibles is the only one that didn't play along by making sure they can't win fights by new power levels. So, what did they do? Wait, no, we are getting way ahead of ourselves here. Before we get to what the Incredibles did, you have to see how deep the hole is. You have to see how deep the hole is. You have to see how deep the hole is that everyone fell into by looking at none other than Dragon Ball. We all know the scene. Somebody powers up, the device screams, "It's over 9,000!" And the crowd goes insane. It's brilliant. But I'm gonna repeat myself from before here. Once the number is 9,000, the next villain has to be 9,001. Then the one after him is 9,002. Pretty soon they're blowing up planets to warm up, and a broken arm means nothing because last week somebody walked up with the moon getting deleted. Same goes for superhero movies. Spider-Man in 2002, the villain is one man, Norman Osborn. A dude on a glider chucking pumpkin bombs off a bridge while wearing a green mask. He's also got that cackle. Just a rich lunatic and some grenades. And it worked. People still quote that movie. Now look where Spider-Man is 20 years later. No Way Home cracks open the entire multiverse and drags in 5 villains from other realities at once. Across the Spider-Verse has hundreds of spider people and a machine that threatens every universe there is or something. We went from like one guy in a glider to the fabric of reality coming apart. What's going on here? And did the MCU boo-hoo doo-doo-boo. The first one, 2012, is Loki commanding an army coming through a portal over New York. 6 heroes, 1 city, and at the time it felt massive. 7 years later, Endgame has time travel, every hero the studio had ever made crammed into one field, and Thanos wiping out half of all life in the single universe with a single snap of a glove, and then he became a farmer because he's a bad dad. Why is he a bad dad? Click here to find out. Anyways, continuing, when your hero can flip a truck, try making stuff like a mugger scary. It's hard. So the threat has to be city level next. Then a country, then a multiverse, then another blah, 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 blah. Stronger heroes make it even harder. Superman can catch a falling plane with one hand. At least in the comics he can. In the movie, he uses both his hands. So how do you threaten him? You can't send the police. You can't send the army. You have to invent a second alien who happens to be exactly as strong as he is. What are the odds? Drop him in the middle of a city and let the two of them throw each other through 40 buildings. Or send Lois Lane to seduce Superman with a hidden kryptonite condom. Yes, my genius. Okay, Man of Steel does exactly that. 2 people who can't really hurt each other wrecking a skyline that can't really hurt either of them. 20 minutes of it. Somehow boring. Everybody's stuck in it. Marvel, DC, cartoons from the 80s, all of them making the same mistake. Except one family who could flip a truck, same as all the rest, and still throw down with muggers. So, how do you keep a super strong family in real fights for 2 whole movies without it ever going hollow? That's where the #1 rule of writing kicked in. Show, don't tell. Now that I say that out loud, I realize that OnlyFans creators are probably doing the same thing. And The Incredibles shows constantly, and it's all hidden in the ceiling. Every power in this family has a hard limit, which Pixar makes you watch each of them smack straight into it. Frozone, the coolest superhero of them all. First 20 minutes, building on fire, people trapped inside, and he goes to freeze a path out, and nothing comes out of his hands. Whoops. He turns and says there's no water in this air because his whole power gets pulled from the moisture around him, and right now the tank is bone dry. A man who can freeze an entire lake? Standing in a burning building, completely useless because the air is a little too dry. You learn the exact edge of his power real quick, and it never stops mattering because from then on, every time Frozone turns up, there is some sort of question running in the background. Is there water nearby? No? Then he's in trouble. Dash is the best one. Late in the film, he's tearing through the jungle. 2 of Syndrome's goons chasing him on those little flying pod thingamajibbers, and he sprints out over a lagoon and just keeps going straight across the top of the water. You get this perfect half-second where Dash looks down, realizes what he's doing, and grins like an absolute lunatic. He's fast. Nobody, not even Dash, knew he was that fast. And then there it is, the ceiling that we were talking about a second ago. Hope you didn't forget. The second those pods box him in, all that speed can't save him because he's still a 10-year-old with nowhere left to run. So he stops dead on the water and drops straight under it. Unless the 2 goons plow plow into each other. This isn't the Flash with vibrating through molecules or outrunning time. He's a quick kid, and a quick kid can still be cornered. That pattern keeps repeating. Look at Violet. Pixar shows you the whole range of it. Early on, she can barely use it, but when the missiles come screaming at their jet, Helen is yelling at, Helen, to put a force field around the plane, and Violet freezes. She's too scared. She can't get it up in time, and the jet gets blown out of the sky. Then you watch it grow. Oh my God, there were so many things I could say about that. She practices. She stops being frightened of it, and by the final fight, when the Omnidroid brings its full weight down on that shield, the field holds. Then it buckles, then it shatters, and the blow drops her out cold. So, you've seen the entire thing. The weakest it ever gets, the strongest it ever gets, and the exact point where even the strong version gives out. Even Helen has a cap, which Edna kind of built in on purpose. Remember the outfits video? Every suit engineered around the power underneath it? Edna's exact line about Elastigirl's suit itself is that it stretches as far as Helen can go without injuring herself. That tells you Helen has a maximum. And even Bob, the strongest one of the lot, has a wall. On the island, he fights an Omnidroid, and he cannot beat it with strength because it was built stronger than him on purpose. So he ends up climbing inside the thing, dodging while it punches holes clean through its own body, trying to dig him out, until it tears out its own core and dies. His powers didn't win him that fight. 5 supers, 5 ceilings, all shown to you, all breakable. Which is a proper headache if you're the one writing the villain, because you can't just make the bad guy stronger, so what do you make him instead? You build him out of the exact problem we just watched wreck everyone else. Syndrome is the power scaling trap in Butterfied. Cause like his robot, the Omnidroid, it's a learning machine. The longer it fights somebody, the more it studies them, until it works out how they move, where they're weak, and how to put them down. So every time a super beats one, Syndrome takes the footage or data, whatever the hell that is, of the fight, feeds it back in, and builds the next model specifically to beat the hero who just won. Then he does it again and again. The versions climb from number 1 all the way to number 10. Each one deadlier than the last, built off the fight that killed the one before it. Sound familiar? It's the Dragon Ball Scanner. It's the next villain has to be stronger loop from the very start of this video. Wait, shit, so they didn't do anything different? Yeah. Wait, I think they did. Yes, they did. Just hold on a little and look at the man himself. Syndrome has no powers. He's Buddy, a kid who worshipped Mr. Incredible, got told to get lost, and spent the rest of his life building gadgets to close that emotional wreckage. Rocket boots, energy rays, the robots, every piece of him is externally built, basically power scaling as a personality type. So what is his whole deal? Well, in his endgame, he's going to sell his inventions to everybody, so anyone can buy their way to superpowers, and his reasoning is one line.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
Meaning, his plan is to burn the whole ladder down so nobody can ever stand above him again. The Power Scaler's final form is a man trying to delete the very idea of power levels. See the fix yet? The Incredibles took the exact problem from the start of this video, the one where everything had to get bigger and stronger forever, and built the entire villain out of it. And then it made him small. Jealous man with a big brain and some spare time, probably too much. So how do you actually beat an escalation thing? A thing built to outpower anything alive?
Okay, it turns out that there are 2 answers. There's the first one and the second one, which is different from the first. So we'll do these in order to keep the video fresh and in order for me to stop repeating about the first Incredibles movie.
In the first film, Pixar took the lesson Bob spends the entire film refusing to learn and made that the solution. You see, for most of the movie, Bob's whole problem is that he wants to do it alone. He sneaks off to an island, alone, tries to be the hero he used to be, alone, and nearly gets him killed. The turning point lands right at the end. The family is just crash-landed back in the city, and the Omnidroid is right there in front of them, tearing the place apart. Bob tells Helen to stay back with the kiddios while he takes it on by himself. She, of course, refuses and gets mad at him because she thinks he just wants the fame to himself, which there's probably like 10% of him who does, but that's not the entire point here. Which is when the strongest man in the whole film breaks down and says 4 words.
I'm not strong enough.
And Helen looks at him and says,
If we work together, you won't have to be.
Then the film goes and proves it in the final fight. They can't out-power level it. Didn't know that was a word till today. Instead, every one of those cat powers you watched hit a wall earlier does one job. When the robot corners Dash and Violet, Violet throws a shield around the 2 of them, and it holds right up until the Omnidroid drops its full weight and pops it. The exact ceiling we already saw. Bob catches the thing with his bare hands and feet. When the robot goes in for the second body slam, just long enough for Elastigirl to get the kids in the clear. Funnily enough, Bob gets gets flung into what I think was his old blue-collar workplace. Nice callback. Then Frozone shows up and freezes its joints solid. This time it works because there's water in a city, unlike that bone-dry burning building from the start. None of it kills the robot, but it keeps everyone alive long enough for the real plan. Bob spots Syndrome's remote on the ground and remembers the robot can be steered with it. Blah-de-blah, blue. Things keep happening. Frozone makes some ice slides. Elastigirl trips the bot with her powers, and Violet uses her invisibility to grab the remote. In the end, by using the remote, they fire one of the Omnidroid's own claws at him like a rocket, penetrating his body and ending it for Ilios. Same way Bob originally beat it on that island. This time it took a lot more than just him though. Timing, teamwork, a decent plan, and 5 limited people each pooling what little they've got. And for one whole movie, that was the answer. Then Pixar came with the sequel where they kind of broke it with one character. Maybe that's the whole reason it's not as popular. Okay, it's cause of the baby. Like Jack in the first film the whole time just doesn't really do anything. He's just a baby. The family doesn't really think about until the last scene. Syndrome, beaten and furious, grabs Jackie Boy and flies off with him out of pure spite. It turns into a ball of fire in his arms. Then Solid Metal, too heavy to hold. Then a tiny screaming monster. Syndrome can't keep a grip on him, loses control, and crashes straight into his own jet. That planted a seed, and the sequel picks it straight up because it turns out Jack breaks every single rule this video just laid down. Every other power in that family has a ceiling you can see. Frozone runs out of water, Dash gets cornered, Violet's shield shatters, Bob hits a wall, then there's Jack. In Incredibles 2, or Dose, he runs through something like 17 different powers. Fire, lasers out of his eyes, hi Cyclops, walking through walls, Kitty, turning the metal, cloning himself, teleporting into a whole other dimension. Edna takes one look and calls him a polymorph with her words, enormous potential. No ceiling on him anywhere. He is precisely the character who should blow power scaling wide open. So what does the Incredibles actually do with the most powerful being it has ever put on screen? It has him fight a raccoon in the back garden over a garbage can. He sets pieces of the yard on fire or garden, whatever. He chucks lawn chairs, laser eyes going everywhere. He splits into a little pile of Jack Wangs and finishes the whole war without a scratch. Fucking hell. The Incredibles built the perfect tool for an arms race and then refused to use it. Well, I have no idea what point I was gonna make here. Back to the first movie, because that worked. And if this works, and it clearly does, why has nobody ever copied a single piece of it? Well, dear viewers, same answer as the suits and the secret identities. Marvel and DC can't do this. Decades of power levels, feats, who would win fights, a shelf full of action figures, all built on the idea that the strongest hero wins. Pixar looked at that creative dumpster juice and went, nope, no tears to protect, no toy line riding on Who Beats Who. So it could tell the truth the others kept dodging. What makes you love these people is the dad who can't fit in his car and the boy who just wants to run at Sports Day and it isn't allowed. The fuck is Sports Day? That's 3 now. The suits, the secret identity, and powers that finally mean something. All from one cartoon. The whole industry has had 20 years to copy and never have. I've done the other 2. One of them's on screen right now, somewhere. Go find out what else this family got right while everyone else was busy blowing up the sky.